Hey guys, it's Travis with Weirding Ways Press, and I'm coming to you today because I wanted to start a new web series. You see a lot of people doing stuff with writing help, but not a lot of people that I've seen are doing stuff with publishing help, like how to help the authors when they're getting ready to publish. Now, this is primarily going to go towards self-publishing. I feel like that's where I have more experience with self-publishing and making sure that my books look good for self-publishing. The small presses might be able to get a little bit out of this as well, because I think all of us can learn from stuff. With that being said, I'm not a master by any stretch of the imagination, but I have something that I think is very important, and that is experience with messing up tons of times, and then finally figuring out how to go forward with my projects. One of the most important things that I want to stress at the beginning of this video, and I'm going to stress throughout the rest of the series, is that you want to remember that everything goes towards building your brand or harming your brand. This goes to outbursts on Facebook, um, raving at someone who wrote a bad review for you, anything that you put out there on the internet may eventually harm you. So you want to be diligent in making sure that you're not giving yourself the wrong impression, giving people the wrong impression about yourself. You want to make sure that you're giving them quality that's going to build your name. So when they see your name, it's not synonymous with negative emotions, that it's good feelings. When I had first started out, and if you're watching this video on my website, or the Weirding Ways Press website, you will see below down there some of my original covers, which were one when I went through a vanity press, the second one, several. I don't know. It seems like I did a few that were self-published, where I created my own cover, and then the covers that I have now. Um, Covers is part of what we're going to be covering. But we want to talk about why it's important to make sure you're putting your best foot forward. And now this is more than just your personality on your Facebook pages and your personal profiles and how you interact with people. This also goes towards your product. And more importantly, actually, is what I'm going to be talking about is your product. You want to make sure it's a quality product, because you're competing for the attention of these people that don't have a lot of time by giving them a book. Now, if you throw a book out there that you haven't dotted your I's and crossed your T's, I almost said dotted your T's and crossed your I's, but whatever. If you're putting a book out there that is messed up, hasn't been edited by anybody else other than yourself, doesn't have proper formatting, maybe just a slap job cover so you can hurry up and get it out there, you're not doing yourself a favor, because people are going to pick it up and read it, and they're going to think, well, this person doesn't really care about their work, so why should I care about their work? Me personally, when I read a book, first I judge it mainly by the cover, and I know that's horrible, but I definitely buy a lot of books because of the covers more than the blurbs or whatever. Because if the covers are pretty, I want them. And I wish they were mine, but whatever. But then when I start reading, there's little weird things, that distract away from the story. 9 times out of 10, if I start reading a book, I'm not going to finish it. And it's because I don't have a lot of time, and I don't want to waste my fun time, which I like to read. I don't want to waste that slogging through a book where the person was kind of sloppy with it. A lot of the things. Why is the cover important? Because that's the first thing people are going to see. A lot of times, if you've got a really snazzy cover, they're going to want it, like me. Then you go into editing and formatting. You got to remember, your book is an entire experience for the reader, from the beginning to the end. And what they take away from your book is so much more than the story you've written. You want your story to be memorable, but no one's going to read your story if they're slogging through horrible editing, tripping over misspelled words that are being used improperly, formatting that's just slap shot all over the page. That's all going to detract away from your story. And we're in a time period where people don't have a lot of time. So if they're getting distracted by these things, they're going to set your book down. There's been times I've set books down because the formatting was bad. And 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to pick the book back up because I've got tons of books in my to be read list. Freebies that are going on, and I like the cover. I bought 99 cents. You know, just there's lots of sales. There's a lot of competition out there. So you want to make sure that when you're putting your product out there, it's the best product that you can. That makes good business sense. And you have to stop at this moment. The moment that you've decided to publish your book, you've got to stop thinking of it as a hobby. And you have to start thinking of it as a business, because that is really what you're doing. You're creating a business. You're setting yourself out there, creating products and competing with other businesses. And these people aren't doing it all hokey. They are putting out what is the best and what they feel is marketable. So if you just want this to be a hobby, then that might not really apply to you. But if you want this to be your business, then you've got to put out the best product, and that's probably why you're watching this video. You hear a lot of people say, well, I don't have the money for that. I don't have the money for that. Like, literally, I don't have the money for that. But I still do it because it's important. I make sure my books are edited. I format, so I don't have a big issue there. And I make sure someone else does my covers because I don't feel as though I have the skill to bring my covers to life as well as I do. Najla Camber Designs does amazing jobs for my covers, and she is very affordable. But that's the thing, is you can look around and you can find people, maybe other authors that you can trade skills with. I know a few author friends who are very talented when it comes to creating covers. I haven't had them do covers for me because Najla and I have a really good relationship and we work very well together, and I've given her all of my trust when it comes to my covers because she knows what I want. But if you have friends out there who are good at making covers and you're good at editing, maybe you guys could swap. You see, it doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to cost you a lot of money. I prefer to pay people to do jobs for me because if I give a friend a book to edit and 2 months has gone by, I feel bad going to that friend and saying, are you almost done? Because they're doing it for free. And I understand everybody has a lot of time constraints and a lot of pressure on their time. And I hate having to go to a friend and make them feel like they're being rushed. You know, I can't say to a friend, oh, well, you told me it was going to be 3 weeks and it's been 2 months. So, you know, you're kind of pushing behind my publishing schedule. I can't say that to a friend because they're doing it for free, and I just feel bad doing that. But if I'm paying someone to do the job, then I feel as though it's good business sense for them to be able to stick to their deadlines. And if they've given me a deadline they can't uphold, then why am I paying you the amount of money that I'm paying you? Of course, don't be mean about it. I've never actually said that to someone, but don't be mean about it. You've got to be professional with everything that you do because it all goes toward building your brand. And they may be your editor, but they may also, you know, if you're nice to them and you're good, someone says, hey, I need a fantasy book because I write fantasy. Maybe my editor will be like, you know what, Travis is a really great guy, so yeah, this book is free. Go read it. And I didn't just plug my product, but whatever. So this first video is not just talking about why you need to put your best foot forward. We're going to talk about covers. And like I said, you can see some of my covers below if you're on the Weirding Ways website. That shows you like the transformation from early covers to what they are now. Now covers can constantly change. Maybe you want to freshen up your book. And you don't know how to do that. Ooh, put out a new cover. You know, breathe new life into old projects because that'll bring more attention to them. Now, there's a number of reasons that you might want to change covers. Some of them happen to be maybe you're not getting the sales that you want with the cover that you have. One option, if you don't think the cover is as great as it could be, or you find yourself saying, oh, why can't my cover look like that cover? You might want to change your cover because, you know, a lot of authors have experienced a huge boost in sales once they've changed their covers. Now, I'm not saying that that's the reason why you're getting abysmal sales, but yeah, that might be something we want to look at. The covers that I had originally done, I thought at the time it spoke toward the book. they had the first one, The Bonds of Blood, showed a woman on fire, and I was like, this is Joya, this is my character Joya, I love her, she's sorcery embodied or whatever. And so she's all on fire and she looks all mystical and stuff, but the problem was is Joya never caught on fire in any of the books. So don't know why I portrayed her catching on fire. And then I decided, well, this isn't gonna go good. And then I created a cover for The Mirror of the Moon, which looked really good. It depicted the top part of the temple called the Mirror of the Moon that they were questing toward in that book. So I created this cover, and it looked really good. It looked, as far as, you know, tied into the story, good. But the problem that I had there was the cover for book 1 and the cover of book 2 were different. So different, in fact, that they didn't quite look like they were in the same series. And I wanted something that matched all the way through, from beginning to end. And so I decided I needed to do professional covers. Now, there are pitfalls to doing your own covers. If you have a good grasp of Photoshop or GIMP or whatever you use to edit your covers, then fine, go ahead and do your own. As long as you know the size requirements that you need, make sure that all your text and everything is inside the zone that it needs to be. If you're doing print books, I never was good at doing my own print covers because there's certain sizing that you need to take into account for print books, and mine always had images and stuff sliding off out into the cutoff. So I hired someone to do my covers. Another problem that I had is people judge your books by their covers. Me, I do that. And I don't feel as though my covers were really that captivating. They may have been, and I'm just very self-critical, but they may have been captivating to some people, but I didn't think that they were. They didn't reflect the project to me. So I wanted something else. One thing I thought, or not thought, the one thing that I noticed, sorry, I've got my notes in front of me and I keep kind of looking at them and it throws me off, whatever. The one thing that I noticed is after I had gotten rid of my self-published covers, or dang notes, once I got away from my own made covers, I started noticing that a lot of other self-published authors were using the same images that I had used for The Bonds of Blood, The Woman on Fire. Apparently everybody thought that was a really great image and depicted their fantasy, magic, fiery book, and they were using that. They weren't using my cover, but it was just a stock image that I'd bought, and I just added words to. That was a problem, because a lot of people were using it. And then I created a cover for Desolation originally, and I loved it, except the wording was a little weird. But now I've seen other people use the same exact image, so I'm kind of glad that I hired someone to do the cover for that as well. Certain things, no matter if you hire someone to do your covers or do your own covers, there's certain things you want to look at. Font. It's very nice to get a really, really awesome looking font, but is it legible? Can you really read it that well? Now be really, really tough on the font. Can you read it well? If you shrink it down small, like it might be on Amazon, can you still see everything in the picture well? Or does it just look like a lumpy mess? Can you still read the title of the book when it's in thumbnail size? Another thing is your author name. I like to keep my author name looking the same through every single book, because then people can recognize that font, that style, the size, everything is being me. I'm trying to get away from doing the same color, which is white, and incorporating it to kind of match the book well, but so far all of my books white has matched well, so whatever. But you also want to make sure that your author name is large on it as well, instead of being really, really, really small. I don't have one of my book. Oh, actually, hold on. Okay, so in Guardian of Shadows, you see that the name on the bottom is larger. It could have been larger, but some people, they make their name like really, really, really small. But, you know, you want people to recognize the book as being yours. So, you know, they do larger. This title is really large. So, you know, it's pretty good when you see it in thumbnail. The coloring, it's all pretty black, so it doesn't really stand out well in the thumbnail, but it's a pretty catchy cover by any other means. So you want to look at those things. You want to make sure people can read what it is and that the font is legible. Like this font is legible. You know, it's nice and catchy, but it's legible. You can see that it says A Guardian of Shadows. Um, but some people, they go crazy with the font and it's all scrolly and fireworky and whimsical and you can't even read it. Like, it's just disastrous. If you look below, Desolation was kind of like that, except it was all grungy and supposed to be horror-ish, which it was, but it was hard to read. Now, the other thing that's important. Now, take that idea of the font with you, even if you're hiring someone. The other thing that is important is you have to step back away from your project. And now this is for all of your design stuff, the covers, the editing, formatting. You have to step away from the project. Once you've finished writing it and you put it in someone else's hands, you have to stop looking at it so much as an artist and look at it as a consumer. If you really want to sell your book, you have to look at it as a consumer. Looking at it this way will give you a better eye to the details that you think customers are going to look for. What do you look at when you buy a book? Use yourself. You're a consumer, even if you don't want to think you are. You're a consumer. So the things that you look at and the things that draw you away from a book or the things that hook you into a book should be the same type of things you're seeing in your book. If you, like me, like a really, really flashy cover, then get a really great cover. And if you don't think that you can do it, get someone to do it. It doesn't have to be expensive. Najla Camber, I feel, is very inexpensive when it comes to covers. So I use her, and she does an amazing job. And your formatting and editing, the same thing. If your editor suggests something, really take it into consideration. Don't be like, but this is my baby. Just take into consideration. 9 times out of 10, that editor is just trying to help you. If you have an editor that's trying to hurt you, then you're probably hired the wrong one. But 9 times out of 10, your editor is looking out for you. Oh, so I'm sure that I missed some things when it comes to covers, but just make sure, I could go through a list of covers that I've seen that are really crappy, but I don't want to drag anybody down. They obviously like their cover, but there are some covers out there that I personally would never buy the book because the cover is just really not well done. It looks like they didn't care about the project, and that is what we're getting at here. You don't want to give the impression to your readers that you don't care enough about the project to look at anything outside of the story, because the story is just a teeny bitsy part of the book. Ultimately, you want your story to be solid, but so much more goes into it. You want your reader, from the minute they pick up your book and see your cover, to be drawn into the story. They should know what the story is going to be about. They should know, atmosphere, all that different stuff. It should give them the feel of the story. Then when they open the book, nicely formatted, nicely edited. That way it doesn't distract away from the story. So, but it all starts with covers. Now, I love covers. I love seeing covers. So if you want to leave a comment below, I'm not sure how you would put your cover in the comment. Maybe HTML, but I'm not very savvy when it comes to computer stuff. If you want someone to vet your covers, by all means, you can send me your cover on the Weirding Ways Facebook page. Either put it in a comment, the comment to this video, or you can just share it on my page, or you can inbox me if you don't want people to see it, and I would be more than happy to look over your cover for you and tell you what I think works and what doesn't work. Nothing that I tell you about your cover is going to be nasty or mean, but I'm going to be honest. If I wouldn't buy the cover, I would tell you, or if I wouldn't buy the book, or even the cover, because I've got to purchase my covers. If I wouldn't buy the book based on the cover, I will tell you why. But as a self-publishing author, I will also look at the other stuff that I think, I've learned that you should look at when it comes to your cover, and I will help you really go over your cover and make sure that it works for you. I'm sorry that I'm using my hands so much, but I just feel like it's kind of boring looking at my face talking. I will help you go over your cover and tell you what I would change personally, and what works, or if I think you should scrap it and start from new. But keep in, oh, my minions are talking. Keep in mind that, those minions distracted me. Keep in mind that you want your book to capture the genre. If you look at this cover, you're thinking fantasy, right? Well, that's a good guess. That's a fantasy cover. But you don't want to look at this cover and think it's a fantasy story and open it up and find out that it's historical romance, because obviously this doesn't scream historical romance. It's a nice cover, but it's not a historical romance cover. So keep that in mind when you're creating your covers too. But I would love to see your covers. So if you want me to help you go over your covers, by all means send them to me, because I love covers. Share them on my page. Go crazy with them. I don't care. Don't you dare advertise your book on my page, but you can share your cover and I will help you with your cover. Okay? So I think that's about it. Stay tuned for my next one. Oh my God, 21 minutes long. I'm sorry. Look for my next video, which will be much shorter than this one, and it will be on editing. Okay? Talk to you later. Bye.